You ready?
Okay.
I'll call the meeting to order. Would you please stand and salute the flag?
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Welcome to the meeting. Next thing on the agenda are the approval of the minutes for the last meeting.
And I make a motion that we approve the minutes for the last meeting. I thought that went pretty good.
I'll second.
Okay, so there's a motion by Ken, a second by Kristen to approve the minutes of October 8th. All those in favor? Thank you. Next, department reports. And, Chief,
Hi, good evening.
hi.
We'll start off with the Apple Fest that's coming up. Talked with Dennis Price this morning. The 5K is still going. So just be advised around 8 o'clock, Main Street's going to be closed for maybe 10 minutes while they get out onto the road and get going. And then once they turn on Academy Road, we'll be opening up that portion of Main Street. Every now and then, as people are coming across Blue Road to cross into the finish line, I will be stopping traffic intermittently. So it runs fairly quick and fairly easy. So that's the good part. The way the weather's running, I'm gonna make a call to Scott Ainsworth tomorrow to see if any of the vendors are gonna show up. So that'll decide whether I close the road or not for that portion of time from 7 to 4. And the only other thing that I have is the August monthly that you should have gotten. It's 195 calls for service, 103 motor vehicle stops, and 3 criminal summonses or arrests, operating on suspension, operating under the influence, and violation of bail. Any questions on anything? Nope. Go ahead.
Chief, the arrests that you made for like protection order violation, those
Yes.
are all that's separate stuff.
That is, yep, that's correct.
Okay,
Yeah, those are actually calls for service.
okay.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
I have the fire chiefs.
Oh, you do?
Mhm.
Okay.
I do. I'm putting on my fire hat.
Chief Roy.
Dan wanted me to share with you that on Sunday, October 3rd, from 10 to 2, Fire Department will be conducting its annual fall harvest sale at Highmore Farm off Cressy Road. Proceeds benefit their Richard Milligan Scholarship. On Tuesday, October 5th, the Fire Department will be visiting the Monmouth Memorial School during Fire Prevention Week with activities taking place outdoors. And the last thing is hose testing that was scheduled for this weekend has been postponed due to the rainy forecast for Saturday. Firefighters will be assisting the PD with traffic control during the Apple Fest 5K race.
Thank you. You have a report?
I do, just a few things. I just wanted to let the public know that tax bills did go out last week. And so if you did not get a tax bill and you're supposed to be getting a tax bill, please let us know. That's how problems start to occur with payments falling behind. So we want to make sure everyone has received their bills. Wilson Pond Culvert Project is going along very smoothly, and we think that we'll be opening a lane within the next few days. It won't be paved, it'll just still be gravel, but at least it'll be open soon. And the sidewalk on North Main Street should be finishing up in a couple of weeks. And then the only thing left for them to finish is the bridge down on Beach, and that's going to be happening sometime in October. So I have.
What's that bridge going to look like? I mean, is it, I guess I've wondered what they were gonna do, and.
All I know is it is a big piece that they're placing.
Concrete, so
Yeah.
it's prefabricated concrete.
I believe
that
so,
they're
yes.
putting in
And it's going to be stabilized on both sides
Yeah.
because of its
Yeah.
rocky underneath there.
Yeah.
Good. Thank you. Next is select board reports.
Nothing.
Nothing.
Monmouth, the Monmouth Middle School boys soccer team's undefeated.
There you go.
Oh, well, I should mention, thank you for putting the academy building project in the notes that went out in the tax bills. That was nice to have that in there. And so I do plan on being there as part of kicking off at the Apple Fest, the fundraising for the academy project with pumpkins and gourds and ornamental corn grown on Maple Street. So anybody that wants pumpkins and gourds, they'll be there. So I plan on being there, Chief. So.
And I have a bass tournament, club bass tournament that day, Apple Fest, so I won't be there.
In the rain, you do it in the rain.
Rain.
That's the best fishing.
That's the best fishing.
We go rain, snow, sleet,
What lake you going to?
Damascotta.
That's nice.
The only thing we don't do is lightning.
That's a good plan.
Then next are, excuse me, public comments. Any public comments? Okay, no public comments. Next is appoint the registrar of voters.
This is to appoint Kimberly Brooks as the registrar of voters. Her term will expire on December 31st, 2022. This term is designated in state statute. It's not one of those that we do annually with our other appointments. This one specifically runs a 2-year term under state law.
I make a motion that we appoint Kimberly Brooks as registrar of voters.
I'll second.
So the motion by Ken, second by Chris to appoint Kimberly Brooks as the registrar of voters for the next 2 years. All those in favor? Thank you.
And
Thank
I
you.
have to recuse myself from the next item on the agenda.
The next thing on the agenda is the liquor license renewal for TJ's Pizzeria.
This is a renewal, a liquor application, pretty standard from year to year. I check with the police department whenever a liquor license comes up for renewal, just to make sure there are no issues. And Chief Mulheron has said he has no problems with this license being issued, so it's ready for your approval this evening.
We approve the liquor license renewal for TJ's Pizzeria.
Second.
So there's a motion by Harold, a second by Kent to approve the liquor license renewal for TJ's Pizzeria. All those in favor? Thank you. Next, warrant number 6.
Items over $1,000. B&H Photo Video. This is extension cable and internet equipment. $1,088.87. Blue Rock Earthworks Solid Waste Trips, $2,225. Card member services, this is for building supplies here in this building, soccer program equipment, our monthly Zoom costs, and Red Cross for the rec department, and our Adobe license, $4,960.66. Dennis K. Burke for fuel, $1,155.34. Dyer Electric for the heat pumps for this building, $11,650, and that will be diminished by a $6,000 refund from Efficiency Maine shortly. Fournier's Tree Service, tree removal on at the Ridge Road Cemetery, $3,550. LV Poirier and Son, this is for the Beach Maple and North Main Sidewalks Project, $101,200.65. Maine Equalization, our monthly assessing fee, $2,287.50. Maine Municipal Association Workers' Comp Insurance, $9,692.55. Maine Municipal Employees Health Trust for the employees' health insurance, $20,440.85. Maine Waste to Energy for solid waste fees, $5,458.33. Monmouth Water Association, $30,851.70. Northeast Emergency Apparatus for fit tests and SCBA flow test equipment switch activator, $2,695.88. Treasurer State of Maine for motor vehicle plates, titles, taxes, $3,427.53 and $3,143.06.
I move we approve warrant number 6.
So
So the motion by Chris, second by Harold to approve warrant number 6. All those in favor? Thank you. And next is a work session. For the first one is about the Cobussy Yacht Club, Lake Association, and the Friends of Cobussy Watershed.
Just X
X marks the spot.
Spot, yep.
We'll get you a podium
A
later.
lectern there eventually, but for now.
I'm very imaginative. Hello, my name is Tamara Whitmore with Friends of the Cobussy Watershed, and thank you very much for the opportunity to talk with you today. And really, I'm here to focus on Cobussy. But I wanted to say two positive things first. One is thank you for a total, I believe, of $10,650 that was approved in 2021 for work towards both the mitigation in Annabessacook, as well as funding to the lake associations for our courtesy boat program. It's really important to have that, and it is definitely matched and added to by a variety of sources. The second thing I wanted to mention is a positive update about Annabessacook, because we do have our New England Milfoil team in there this week, and they actually do a surveying via scuba diving, because sometimes the water is too dark, you can't see. So the herbicide treatment that was done last August seems to have done a pretty good job. We've had our own surveyors out there on the surface, and then we've had New England Milfoil come in, and it's really done so far what we wanted it to do, is pushed it back. I know that just this week they did find, they took out 40 gallons of plants in Hoyt Brook, and they removed a couple other suspicious plants. Kent's telling me because you saw them today, that they were in the stream, jug stream before it goes over the dam, and they found something suspicious, so they pulled it. So overall, the picture is really good. And it's encouraging. We just still need to keep surveying up over the next couple of years, and so that if plants do come back, as they may, we'll get them as soon as possible and prevent it from getting to where it was, which was very concerning. So far it's been a good test pilot.
So 40 gallons was removed-ish this year. How many gallons were removed when we were just, but prior to the herbicide treatment, like
30,000 gallons. something. I mean,
30,000
It was, yeah.
so we've gone from 30,000 to
And we
40.
were not going to get in ahead of it. We could have used 2-3 crews. So yes, the herbicide treatment was expensive, but it's looking like it's been pretty effective. It's not a silver bullet, but it's a really good tool as far as we know so far.
So what do the great big floating mats of vegetation that I've heard about consist of?
Native plants. Could be, I have to see if it could, a lot of the native plants will grow in almost in monoculture if they have the right conditions.
These are floating on the surface and the wind blows them in.
Yep.
I know
yeah.
people from the people at the Augusta West campground that couldn't use their boat dock because this huge floating mat that we've never seen there before
Yeah.
floated in and blocked it. And
Yeah.
so is that a result of the herbicide treatment or what's
No.
causing that?
We would have to study that specific thing, but plants, I've seen that happen other places. So plants are growing and then end of the season, they just sort of start dying off. And they go where the wind takes them.
We have never
So-
seen that I'm aware of in Annabessacook. So
I agree with you that it's an unusual thing. And we were very concerned about it and asked the watershed people, so
Mm.
Wendy Dennis,
Mhm.
to sort of think about was
Yeah.
this caused by herbicide or related to something? And her response was, no, we're seeing that watershed wide, that those plants are doing that in other lakes within the watershed. And it, according to Wendy, relates to very clear water early on in the season that
Early ice out.
encouraged a lot of growth, warm water that encouraged a lot of growth early on. And then as soon as the water temperature gets to a point where algae can grow, those plants reach for the sun and then break off.
Mhm.
Has any samples of the plants been taken and looked at, or?
I couldn't tell you.
The plants in the mats?
Yeah.
Well, we could certainly identify them, but I don't know. I'd have to check with Coffee what I
Well,
should do.
so I have twofold concerns, and the people that I've spoken with have two major concerns. Well, they have three. My two major concerns are, because they're impacted, their docks are impacted and so forth, but the two major concerns being, what are the plants? Are they milfoil? Do they contain milfoil?
No.
So, and then if not, then what are they and why are they?
We can certainly identify them for you. So you can feel free to point people to the Friends of the Coppice Watershed. We'll come out, we'll take a look at it. And it would be good to be made aware of that.
So maybe if you get a chance to check in with Augusta West
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
ask
Yep.
the owners about it,
Sure.
maybe they could point you to a floating mat that you can
Oh.
look at.
It's not hard to find.
The same thing happens at the lower end of Cobbessy,
Yeah.
like down towards Maple Ridge and that type of thing. Our
Doesn't
code down there is very low. As Ken said, the water was very warm first part of the year. We got an awful lot of weed growth because it's a catch-22. The water has a lot more clarity to it. So sunlight penetrates farther down and you get the growth. As the temperature's cool and it changes, people are using their boats in that, it cuts it loose and it just floats around.
So from a public relations perspective, I would encourage you to talk to the folks at the campground.
Oh, yes.
And because people are talking about the herbicide and did that do this
Yeah.
and so forth. So if you have information that explains what really happened, I think it would be good for you to get that out.
Absolutely. We speak to them fairly routinely, although in the summer, both of our organizations are really out straight, but yeah, I'll mention that to them. That'd be great. Thank you. So I'm gonna move to Cobbessy. I do want to do an update on Anabesica, so moving to Cobbessy. I wanted to provide you with just a couple of quick handouts, and I'm gonna put the map of Cobbessy on top. This is an extremely rudimentary map that I did super quickly because I didn't have anybody at the office who could help me with the ArcGIS business. And we're constantly finding more and we have to update the maps really quickly. So what I've just done is with a teacher's red pen, I just wanted to give you an idea of what we're finding. So we found Eurasian water milfoil in the marina at the North Shore several years ago. An herbicide treatment was done, the same herbicide that was then eventually used on Anabesica. And after a year, I believe we found a couple more plants growing at the end of last year's growing season. And so the DEP agreed to do another treatment there at the marina. Well, thankfully, my coworker, Tony PA, had our plant survey team go, and she was just concerned about the North Shore to the east of the marina and had them go take a look and survey. They had to go in the water to do so, and it was like a little forest of Eurasian water milfoil growing. It was really concerning. So because we did that 2 days before the treatment happened, we were able to expand the treatment area from 4 acres to 14 acres. And as of last Thursday, we did a survey, and so far along the North Shore area, there's none growing back. We're going to wait till the docks are out to do a really full survey at Lakeside Marina. After the treatment happened, our survey team, which there's 2 people in a small duck boat, and they're trying to cover the entire lake. They went into Weston Brook and found plants growing there. That's I have two X's there with Western Brook, and it's very shallow, very weedy, and very dark water, so it's really hard to see, but that has been continuously surveyed and pulled plants over the summer. And then slightly south, I don't know if you can see, it says Hersey Island on the western shore. Several Eurasian plants have been found growing there, up to like 16 at a time. So the DEP has been coming and removing those with divers continuously throughout the summer. And then literally on Friday, one of our summer staff member that's still with us wanted to go to Fars Cove, which I put towards the bottom or towards the middle of the lake there. And we found 2 Eurasian water milfoil plants growing there. So that was found on Friday. We got the DEP there Monday and they pulled them. So we're trying to be as reactive as we possibly can, because this is a plant that will grow so quickly that it is really scary. It makes the variable leaf milfoil look like a much better plant. So I wanted to give you sort of this overview, and we've been working very closely with the Department of Environmental Protection and the Cavas Yacht Club Lake Association to say, okay, we really need to get working on this. This is only one of the 3 invasives that are on this lake. We think we're doing a very good job of keeping up with the variable leaf milfoil that was found in Jug Stream, which would have come downstream from Anabescook. European frogspit, which is a floating leaf plant, is throughout the lake in the small coves. And that's something, actually, we had somebody doing research at the graduate level this summer and to see how we can mitigate that. It's the Eurasian, though, that really has a huge known potential impact on economics and property values. So what we've been doing in conjunction with Cavas Yacht Club Lake Association is going to the different municipalities, because there's 5 of them around Cavasy Lake, and to say, here's the situation. We just want to make you aware of it. We don't know what it's going to take yet, because we want to get everybody together. So one thought by my coworker, Tony, was what if we got representatives from all of the municipalities together in the same room? I told her she was both brave and very intelligent, because that's a great idea, because then the municipalities could all talk together and be very transparent and say, here's what we're willing to do. Or you just want to make sure that everybody's putting in their fair share, I think, which makes sense to me. And we also have other ideas of how to get some funding for this work. We go to business sponsors and we write grants, and we do get some money from the state. We have donors, and I will say that Cavasy Yacht Club Lake Association, I'm trying not to use acronyms, has been really fantastic, and they are fired up, as they should be, and they really want to help do a bunch of fundraising so that the Friends can do the work that we do, conservation, removal, prevention, all that kind of stuff. And we have enough funding to do so. So we just wanted to give you that heads up and see if you would be willing to meet, have 5 towns together. I can even promise you that West Gardner said that they would be willing to do it. That's always the biggest question I get. Would West Gardner participate? They would. And we just have to meet with Winthrop yet. So everybody seems to be on board. Any questions about the map or?
I understand the north end, right? But how do you think the area down by Lily Pond became affected? Yeah.
I would not want to point fingers without knowing. But what we have heard from, as soon as people saw us in Forest Cove, there's like maybe 15 houses. Boy, people were like, what are you doing? Are you looking for a dead body? They were very concerned about what we were doing. I'm like, I didn't realize we looked that official. But there is some traffic in there. Not by people voting through, because why would you go there? You would go there to fish. You're either going to be one of those 15 people or you're going there to fish. That's pretty much why you would go there, because it's a very small cove.
People fish all over the lake.
Yes. And that's why we are concerned. So we say, okay, we better go back to these coves, all the coves throughout, and really check it out again. So that's going to be a really high priority next year. We know that when we're in Weston Brook this past week, we put our little duck boat out there and there were some anglers kind of like looking at us, and then they thought, oh, I guess we're not gonna go in there right now because it seems to be busy. Or they just didn't, they realized we were crazy and snorkeling in that water. I don't know. But so yeah, we will never know for sure, but that would be our first statistically significant guess. So there's a lot, we have got to go back and check a lot more out.
I'm just trying to picture where that is. So.
Yep. If you're on the lake,
Well, if I'm driving
yeah,
up that
Okay.
road.
Yeah.
And I know where you come in from West Gardner
Yeah.
and where the kids jump off the
Yes.
dam.
So keep going to Wayside Chapel,
Okay,
make a right onto West Road,
okay.
go down, and then you hit that bend, and there's Osprey Lane,
Oh, okay.
and it's right in
So
there.
it's down there.
Don't
Okay.
ignore the fact that it says West Cove is where actually Wentworth Cove is. That's wrong on this map. I don't know what they're doing, but where we were was actually, it's just next door to Lily's Pond, basically.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a really small cove. And then I want to say that,
But it's also, that is also a direct wind-blown line. The water current runs directly
Yes.
from the North Shore down along that shoreline, and it gets impeded as it makes that bend towards the main lake. So if you think about drifting on the current
yes.
from the North Shore, that would be a spot, and that was what I was trying to get to. It's not just boat traffic.
Mhm.
If you have pieces drifting on the current with the wind, then the logical spot that they'll come to rest
Mhm.
is down there around that corner at Lily Pond.
Well, you'd have, that is if the wind's going that direction.
Which it
Actually,
always does.
but in Weston Brook, it's going upstream.
The wind blows normally from the northwest. So, and I know, because I fish that lake all the
Yeah.
time.
Yeah,
The wind typically blows out of the northwest, and when it's blowing hard, it blows down here.
Yeah.
And so it puts a lot of current down through this side, and when that current wraps around right here, the natural drop point for anything in that current
Mhm.
is right here on that stretch between Lily Pond and the opening by Horseshoe Island, where it goes back into the
and
lake.
with different winds, there's different options. It would not have been this far up in the cove. Or if it was fully wind, it would have been further up and it caught on the reeds, and it was not. So that's where, that's also just given what the property owners were telling us.
Just
Property owners tell us a lot of
consider-
stuff.
Just consider, if you would, that
Oh, we
there are
do.
other options, and one of them
Yes.
can be current and where the drop off points for the current are.
And we do, because that's what we're thinking with the North Shore, that if the plant was originally in the marina, if the wind actually comes up the lake, then goes over across North Shore into Wentworth Cove, and then I see what you're saying, it could swing south then.
And again, if you orient yourself north, the prevailing wind is northwest. So it blows from this side of the lake across this way. It blows down this way. There are occasions when it'll come in from the southwest, which means it's blowing up across this way.
Yeah.
And there are times when it's northeast, means it's coming this way. But the prevailing currents come from the northwest, northeast. There are times when the wind blows from the south, blows from the southwest, southeast,
Mhm.
not often.
And so the funny thing is, the reason why I'm kind of smiling is because everybody tells us different things about the winds on Cobussy. I've had Zach Stewart, one of the owners of Lakeside, tell me everything comes directly at the marina from the south. So that's why certainly something we could certainly look into.
They get
And
wrap
absolutely
around,
can be part of it.
they get wrap around from northwest winds because it comes in from the side, wraps the current in around so whatever, I'm just saying.
Well, and that's why I said I didn't want to point fingers. There's a multitude of possibilities for sure. I also wanted to leave it with a positive of that there is a small pond in Cushman Pond in Lovell that actually has had some success. It took a long time to get there, but they have had a success with variable leaf milfoil eradicating it from their pond. So I want to say here's the potential real threat of your economic base being and the recreational impact on Cobussy, but here's also some hope for that.
Just one comment, because there is, a business in town that rents boats.
Mhm.
So I don't know what they do when boats come back to them. If they clean them, go through that, it might be a worthy cause to reach out to them and say, hey, can you make sure you're checking?
Are you able to
Cross
tell me who
things.
that is, who you're referring
It's,
to?
Angel, White.
Okay.
It's,
Okay, well, we certainly
Oh,
will
I
reach
walked
out
by
to them.
it. It's
Yeah.
like 2 feet up the street from my house,
Oh,
but,
that's- I'm
but
sure
I
we can
mean, if
figure it
they're
out.
in Monmouth, they're
Yeah.
renting boats to
Right.
these lakes that are all
Yes.
part of
Yeah, so they
Cobbessy
absolutely should be.
watershed.
We certainly can
So,
reach out to them.
yeah, I
about
mean,
that.
just a thought
Yeah.
that, I think that would be worthy to reach out to them and
Mhm.
say, Beacon Boat Rentals,
Okay,
that's
great.
what it is.
Got it,
So-
thank you.
I know that when your courtesy boat inspectors do their thing
Mhm.
and they're trying to stay out of the way of
Mhm.
people, wanting to go enjoy the lake, but they get a chance to take a look. They are now using a data collection process that
Mhm.
involves collecting information on where this boat has been and what's the previous lake, and can you share with us a
Sure.
little bit of information?
That's been the
on that?
case for, I'd say at least 12, 13 years that we've been taking that data. Now it's an app, which is great. Because last year we did over 14,500 inspections in Cobbessy watershed. That's like 12% of the entire state. That's how busy our boating traffic is in this area. And so they do ask where it was last. But just because if you, for example, Annabessacook, the boat that we think that the fragment came off of had been in Pleasant Pond most recently, and DNA testing proved that to be the case, that the variable leaf milfoil was in Annabessacook is from Pleasant Pond. It's the same DNA. So they do take that down, and just so that if something happens, if we find something, the state would actually call up and just say, hi, where were you in the lake? So that we can pinpoint where to go looking first. So that's basically why we do that.
Yeah.
And now it's in real time data because the boat inspectors are putting this information in themselves, which is great.
So can you give us an idea in terms of the
How much
risk
money?
that all lakes have in this area? Like,
Yeah.
I'm on Annabessacook, so let's
Right.
use that as an example. How often does Annabessacook get a boat that's just been in Cobbessy?
Oh, I could, if I had the dashboard, I could tell you that, absolutely. And I'm happy
Yeah.
to share that with the group if you want the link to the dashboard.
Yeah.
Or get that information to you at any time.
I mean, is it?
Yeah.
I don't want you to hypothesize, but is it 1 in 10? Is it 1 in 100?
I think I would say it's probably closer to the 1 in 10. It's more than likely it's going to be one of these area lakes. Like I know there's a lot, tend to pond hop, you go to Pleasant, Annabessacook, Wilson, or something like that, depending on, the conditions. So,
So you'd say, so you're saying that most people who have a boat in this area keep it within the area, and that most of the boats in the area are typically going to other lakes in the area, not, New Hampshire.
I understand no, I would say there's a lot, especially on Cobbessy, there's a lot of people coming in from out of state.
Okay.
Annabessacook, it would be more likely to be in-state,
Local,
more likely,
local.
yes.
Okay.
And, which is hard for me to do as a scientist. I like to have exact data. to give
Sure.
you exact-
Sure.
But in a general term, I would say it depends on the pond. Cobbessy has heavy amount of out of state. Then your shore residents pretty much put in and stay there all year.
Right, right.
So.
So, I'm just,
Yep.
I understand that Eurasian water milfoil's got a much faster growth rate than
Yes.
variable leaf that we
Yes.
know is in Annabessacook right
Yes.
now.
Can double in size in like 3 to 4 days.
So, so this is more than just an issue for Cobbessy.
Yes,
And we need to be thinking about
yes,
the lakes around Cobbessy where
Yes.
someone might be
yes,
taking their boat.
absolutely. And many of those are towns that, or bodies of water that are in Monmouth. I'm thinking Wilson.
We're surrounded.
Monmouth is
Cox
very
An
water,
island. We are
water
virtually an
heavy.
island.
Yeah.
I know, it is, it
Could
is,
you, do you have inspectors on Cocknowagon?
we do.
If you could
Although,
get us the data for where Cocknowagon boats come from,
okay.
that would be helpful.
Sure. I don't want to be remiss about my partner here from Cavas Yacht Club Lake Association. I know we're over the 10 minutes now. So, Dave, would you like to?
Okay, yeah. I'm Dave Mills, a Monmouth resident. My wife and I are very fortunate. We do live on Cavasy. I'm on the executive board for the Cavas County Lake Association. Up until 2 years ago, we were just the Cavas County Yacht Club, if you will. That unfortunately didn't afford us the ability to go out and solicit donations in substantial amounts, if you will, because the donations to that type of an organization was not tax deductible. So we've changed our tax status and that. So we're now the Cavas County, we're CYC Lake Association. In response to the problems we've had in the lake, the Lake Association has developed and established a task force that is looking at ways where we can better support the things that the Friends of Cavasy, DEP, and other people are doing to prohibit and also to eradicate or substantially reduce the milfoil and the other plants that are in the lake. It's going to be a long process. It's going to be pretty expensive. And as Tamara said, we've gone to other boards, the other 5 towns, other 4 towns that have border on the lake, and talked to their boards and that about putting together a joint session where we could all get together. And we're planning it sometime in 2022. We don't have a date or a location yet, but when we do have it, we'd encourage any and all of your people to attend so that there's interaction between all the towns to prohibit this. There's a lot of information out there about what the financial implications of the milfoil is. Obviously, we had to close, Monmouth had to close the Anabasicook launch. Can you just imagine down the road if we had to close the Monmouth launch? Or it got to the point where it was really adversely affecting the businesses on the lake, such as Chippewa, Cavasy, the Birches, and other people like that. You know, you kill all of the bass tournaments, which brings in a lot of economic growth or benefit to the area. And it would, you know, severely impact, we believe, all of the property values. So if you took like all of the property values just down in Monmouth that are on Cavasy, and if you added up those tax dollars that you receive from there and said, oh, the property values decreased by 25% or something worse, 50%, what a large impact that would be on the town finances. I mean, 57% of my taxes, according to my latest bill, goes to the school. So if you whack that in half, you know, you'd be hard pressed to meet all of your obligations. So that's what we're out doing. And on a personal note, the towns all contribute some amounts of money to the Lake Association. We help fund the Friends. We help fund and also provide volunteers in that for the boat inspections. So last year, the town of Monmouth gave us $1,000. We haven't received anything yet this year, but from an only a selfish standpoint, I know I was here at a meeting not too long ago, and excuse me, the town approved a $1.5 million bond for the building over here. So if it would be at all possible to increase the donation to the Lake Association to something like $2,500, it would help us immensely and possibly be a kick in the pants to some of the other towns. But we are going to try to put together some type of fundraisers and that. We do know that it's not going to be a year, 2 years, as the information that Tamara passed out. It's a long-term process, but it's a constant fight. But if we take our eyes off the ball and let our guard down and that, I think it's going to be disastrous for the lake, not only our lake, but the other lakes and the economics of the town. And yes, you know, I live down in the Cove in Monmouth on Rocky Point Drive near Maple Ridge. There's an awful lot of boats down there and fishing tournaments that are out of state. There's an awful lot of residents that are from out of state that come up here and spend time in the summer. I'm sure you see the traffic dwindle substantially in the last couple of weeks where they're shutting down and leaving. But typically they come up, they put their boats in, and very rarely do you see somebody pulling the boat out, especially the pontoon boats. And there's a whole proliferation of pontoon boats on the lake now. People hardly ever pull them out and take them to Conshohocken or say, oh, I'm going to go for a stroll on Anabassacook. You know, I know a couple of people that have taken their boats and going up to Belgrade, but that's a rarity most of the time. You know, when my boat goes in, it stays at that dock till I pull it out for the winter time. So it's going to be a long fight, and we're probably going to be coming back to you for any and all help that you might be able to provide us. And if you need anything or need any additional information, you can reach out to Tamara or the Lake Association. Or I believe I gave my contact information the last time I was here to Ken. You can contact me directly if you need something, and I'll see what I can do to get it directly for you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, next is the town manager search discussion.
Thank you. So as you know, or maybe you've forgotten, but the deadline is coming up the 30th of September for applications for the position. And that is next Thursday. If I'd been thinking a little clearer, I might have had it be on Wednesday. It would have made it a little easier to get all of those applications to you. But what I'm thinking is we'll scan everything that we've got to you at the end of the day next Thursday. And I can't imagine anything's going to come in the mail after that, but we would have to honor something that was dated Thursday if it did come in the mail on Monday. But I need to know from you how many people you would like to interview. And I was looking back at your last process, you interviewed 6. And that's what I would recommend that you go with this time, if that is okay with you. And then you'll get that down to 2 finalists that you'll want to probably do second interviews. You might have 3, who knows? And you'll do second interviews with them, and then we'll move on with the process of them meeting the department heads, et cetera, after that. But to get us going, I just wanted to have you look at your calendars and also discuss how you want to make that selection. So when we first talked about this process, Tim had said he wanted to see every resume that came in. And I can do that, and we'll do that, send them all to you electronically so that you'll have them. It would be a ton of stuff to copy and use paper to do, so I'd rather do it electronically. But what I have done is assign a letter to each resume, so that if you want to cull through them and come up with, say, your top 8, and then send me just the letters, and that way we're not keeping their names in the email system, which helps to preserve the confidentiality of the process. And so that's what I would recommend. The other option is that you sit in an executive session and go through all the resumes as a group and try to come up with, 6 people that you want to interview. I'm not sure that's as efficient as doing it, as individually and taking the time to go through them on your own.
How many do we have?
At this point, there are 14. And I suspect that you'll be getting at least more town managers from the state will apply closer to the deadline. Because the thought is the closer to the deadline, the more their confidentiality is preserved. So you could have 20 or more before you're done.
So you're thinking that we we letter them and, I mean, we send back our top 6 from each letter. I mean, the letters for the top 6 for each of us as we
Yes.
look through
Top
them,
6 or top 8?
right? And then,
Then I'll look
That-
for similarities and see who's got chosen the same 6 people.
and then do we want to, I'm just wondering if we want to get together once we have that list and then quickly call down through that as a group just to make sure I may say, I don't really see the need to interview this person. 2 other people may say, I think this person's really got some good things going on and maybe, you know, as we sit down and briefly go through it, they would convince me they're right. And so I would like to make the final decision on the final, you know, 6 that we interview as a group in an executive session, me personally.
I think that makes sense. I think, you know, drawing, maybe it's not exactly 6. I mean, maybe you wait, if you've got some folks that are, you know, close to the line, that you say, oh, it's gonna be 7 or
Right.
whatever.
Or it's gonna be 5.
Or it's gonna be
We all agree there's only really 5 we want to talk to.
Right. So I think there's a lot of value in terms of sort of tallying up our individual preferences and helping us sort of prioritize, you know, who gets the focus of our attention. Just as an aside, can you tell us how many other towns have openings for town manager type
It's 10 or 15
Positions.
right now.
10 or 15 out of
Mhm.
400?
And they vary in size.
Yeah.
You know, some of them are, I don't think Lewiston has hired a city administrator. Augusta is in the process right now. Bangor is in the process. But there are some small towns around us that are also in the process,
Okay,
so.
yeah.
I think
Okay.
there was just an article in the paper, I forget which town, but came from Harvard, so.
So are you all in agreement that you want to have an executive session once you've sent me that list of 8 or, okay, so now we go on to dates. So given that I'm going to be sending you all of these resumes next Thursday night, how quickly do you feel that you're going to be able to go through them and get those letters back to me? So, because the next date that we would be able to get together, given the schedule of the select board, would be the 7th, which is a Thursday. And I recommend that you don't do this. Well, I suppose you could have an executive session after your regular meeting on the 6th. No, don't. I've got a couple of big items on that agenda. So I think you're going to want to do it on a separate night.
The 7th, we have a Compton Hall trustee meeting,
Okay,
so that takes Doug and I out of
so that would bump you
So-
to the next week.
And then the next week, I'm gonna be in Presque Isle, the 13th, 14th, and 15th.
And the 13th was the date I was going to give you. Keep in mind, the longer you put this off,
Right.
The
The
harder it's going
staler
to-
it is.
the harder it's going to be to have someone January 1st.
Yeah, we could, I mean, we could ask Dennis to move our meeting. I mean, I don't know how you feel about that, but on the 7th. So,
Linda can-
The other Linda.
The other one.
yeah. Linda Johnston. So,
I would say either that or we have a short executive session before our regular meeting on the 13th.
Yeah.
But
You
you're
don't have a
gonna be
meeting
gone.
You don't have a
I'm
meeting
gonna-
on
no,
the-
I mean, on the,
On the
on the
6th.
on the
6th.
6th, I meant, yes, I meant the 6th.
I guess I would be open to that, a short executive session on the 6th,
Okay,
like
So you
at
could-
5 o'clock.
that means you're gonna want to get your letters back to me Monday, Tuesday of that week.
Yeah.
I spend the weekend
Right.
reading.
Okay, so
Right.
executive session before the meeting on the 6th.
Yep.
Okay,
Do you think we need an hour or do you think that's something we can knock out in half an hour or so?
I guess it depends on how many we can say, how many letters.
Well, yeah, once we get our score sheet back to Linda, she says, you know, you all agree on all of them.
There's no need.
There's no need for an
Yes,
executive session.
exactly.
Yeah,
And if there's just 1 or 2 that are fringes, then maybe, you know, we schedule at 5:30 and we talk quickly about that. And then, you know, I don't think we're gonna have a long debate over this.
Right, okay. So why don't I plan on
Is
5:30?
that agreeable?
yes,
That works.
it's my first go around with it, so.
So assuming that you come up with your list on the 6th, Then I'm looking, are you still not available on Tuesday nights? Didn't you have a conflict on Tuesdays?
I have a conflict on Tuesday, and now my conflict is the middle school's boys soccer game at 4:45 on Tuesday and Thursday.
Okay.
So I would be available after, but I'm not missing my grandson's soccer game.
Family first. Well, so we could do them. The 18th is a Monday. How does that look for everyone?
Okay, no meeting.
Okay. And then, so Tuesday, the 19th is probably not good, but what time do the games get over?
Well, I start at 4:45 and it takes about an hour and 15 or 20 minutes or something like that. Depending on where it is, there's travel time too. I got a schedule right here, I can tell you.
And Thursdays, yeah,
Like any
let's
good
look at,
grandparent, you've got the schedule.
look at the 19th and the 21st and see what your schedule looks like. Otherwise, you're bumping to the next Monday night for the second round.
Well, actually, their schedule ends on Thursday, 10:14. Top 8 make the playoffs, quarterfinals at 10:18, semifinals at 10:20, and finals are 10:22. So
You could do the 19th,
I could, that's
Tuesday night.
that's a Tuesday, sure.
Yeah. So we shoot for Monday and Tuesday night. Probably 3 each night, and the last time you started at 5 o'clock. So the first night, you'll have like a half hour to talk about the questions, who's gonna ask the questions, and just talk about your format a little bit. Then you'll start your interviews at 5:30, but then the second night, you'll actually start at 5 o'clock. I will send you an email with all of this in it so that you'll have it. So we're gonna have a brief executive session at 5:30 on the 6th, prior to your regular meeting.
Mhm.
And we are going to shoot for interviews on the night of the 18th and the 19th.
Now assuming we make the quarterfinals are on 10:18. I don't know what time they'll be, it doesn't say. Doesn't mean I have to be there. I mean, if you have to have it on that night, then have it on that night, but. And again, I don't know what time, doesn't say what time they're gonna be or where they're gonna be.
All right. And then second interviews, while I've got you in your calendars, I'm looking at maybe Monday, the 25th, because if you do second interviews, you're probably only going to do a couple people, maybe 3, but you could do those in one night.
Mhm.
The 25th work for everyone? That's a Monday? Okay. And then from there, we can figure out how to schedule with department heads and process from there. And
5 o'clock on the 25th?
5 o'clock on the 25th, yeah. The earlier you start, the sooner you're not gonna be running out of steam, and neither will the applicants. Are you okay with Zoom for the first interviews if someone is from away? If you decide you.
We did that last time.
Yeah, okay, perfect. Okay, I think I've got what I need to get going here. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I make a motion, we adjourn.
Second.
All those in favor?
That'll beat me. All right.